Hello everybody. In September 2019, myself and Billy decided that we would undertake a tour of the west coast of America and Canada. And on that trip we spent 2 days in Astoria, famous for several movies, but most notably the Goonies, which just happens to be one of our favourite movies. In particular, I think it's probably one of Billy's absolute favourite movie, but something being kids of the 80s, I think a lot of kids of the 80s can relate to this movie. So Astoria would have probably been on the list anyway. It's a beautiful place to go and visit regardless of the movie, but we had arrived this day. We'd been driving for quite a few hours. We had come from Mount Hood in Oregon, far side of Portland, Timberline Lodge, where we had stayed the night before, known as the movie from The Shining, and that's a whole other video. So we decided to spend a couple of days in Astoria. I had booked an Airbnb, which happened to be very close to the Goonies house, and it wasn't very clear at the time what the situation was with access to that, but I'll come back to that later. So as we come along here, the sea is on the left, and we're about to take a right turn. If you look, there's a famous scene from the movie. Rosario was stuck on the crossing. We didn't realise it at this point. You can see it here on screen. There's the crossing on your left. We didn't realise until after we'd got into our Airbnb and we had walked down and walked back over that, and then we decided to watch the movie in the Airbnb that evening, and we realised that we had walked across the crossing. So that scene was obviously filmed very close to where the actual house is, and as you see here again, the scene from the movie as we drive up here, you'll see the house is on the left there with the peak, very left, top left. It is sort of tucked in out of the way. It wasn't visible, I think, for quite a while. There is a driveway there where there's a man walking down, but there were signs asking people not to go up, that it was private, so we did respect that. And we're not speeding up here, I just speeded up the video, but in the movie this is where you see the Fratelli's Jeep racing up the hill. This is a dead end, so I don't know where they were going, but never mind. So this is our Airbnb here, where we were hosted by the very, very lovely Robin and Garrett in their beautiful home, and it was a really nice place to stay for a couple of days. I think what struck us both, the weather changed not long after we arrived, and it started to rain. It was warm, but it started to rain, and there was a bit of thunder, and it was a bit like the opening scenes of the movie, really. A bit of a strange experience. It really did feel as though the neighbourhood really hadn't changed in 35 years. The whole feel of the neighbourhood felt very much like how it came across in the movie. A slightly surreal experience, if I'm honest, and it's strangely quite moving. But yeah, it felt like a really, really, really nice neighbourhood. So we waited for the rain to go off, and then we decided to go for a little walk and get a bite of dinner. It had been a long day, so an early night was in order, so we went and we walked down onto the pier and saw the seals, and we got a bite to eat in one of the breweries at the end of the pier. And on the way back we walked back over this pier, and then whenever we returned to the Airbnb and decided to have an early night and watch a copy of the movie, we were struck, as I'd said earlier, by the fact that we walked across the crossing, and also the pier that you see in the opening scenes as well. So day 2, we grabbed our BMXs and hit the road. Well, we didn't. We grabbed our SUV and hit the road. So this is, in the film, this is where Mikey's dad works, the town museum. In real life, It's the Flavel House Museum and it's open to the public. Well worth a visit. It's a very beautiful house which was owned by Captain Flavel and his family, one of the founding families of Astoria. So well worth a visit. And right next to it is what is now the Oregon Film Museum, used as the jail. It was police station or county jail at one point. So as you can see now, it's the Oregon Film Museum. And again, well, say Oregon Film Museum, it's really just the Goonies Museum. It's worth a visit, but there's not much other than Goonies stuff in it really. But a good fun place to go and spend half an hour. And as you can see, because it was originally a jail, you can go in and you can see the cell where scenes were filmed. And there's various props from the movie. Well, either actual props or very similar. And then we went to the Astoria column, way above the town. Incidentally, that bridge you can see is also featured in the background of Short Circuit. You can climb to the top of the Astoria column. I went, Billy didn't. Worth the climb. Very beautiful. And an amazing view. Then we headed to Cannon Beach, which is not actually a quick bike ride from Astoria. It's a 40-minute drive. And thanks to the magic of technology, I can speed a little bit of that up. But what you're about to see now was one of those moments where you couldn't have planned it if you tried. We knew at some point we were going to end up catching a glimpse of the sea, and of course the very prominent, famous Haystack Rock, which again features in the film. And of course, being nerds as we were driving along, we were listening to the movie soundtrack. And just coincidentally, you'll hear the audio of our reaction in just a moment as we round the corner. And the soundtrack and the view lined up perfectly. Opening scenes from the film here, filmed at Cannon Beach. Incidentally, if you're staying in the area, I would recommend staying overnight in Cannon Beach, which unfortunately we didn't do, but I would definitely do it if I was coming back to the area. It looks like a really beautiful place to spend a couple of days. So we had lunch and then we headed out to Ecola State Park, which is along a windy road. And again, this road was also used in the film to great effect. Very typical of the Oregon coastline. And of course, there were plenty of people out taking photographs like myself. I think this is probably my favourite photograph of the whole trip. And here you can see obviously how it looked in the film. And as soon as we pulled up to the car park, of course, we realised that that was where the restaurant and lighthouse had been in the movie. I think I read somewhere that they were just a prop or a set, I'm not sure. And then finally, of course, I had to go into the water for a bit of a dip. I know there's some debate as to whether those final scenes were filmed on Cannon Beach or not, but doesn't really matter. So that's the end of the video, and if you've been watching all the way through, thank you very much. Just a little something I wanted to put together as a bit of a memory and a keepsake, something to do while under COVID-19 lockdown here in the UK as well. So maybe before this is over I'll get other ones done, such as Timberline Lodge for example, and The Shining. But anyway, thank you for watching.